Look, the dynamic duo.
Hey guys, welcome to the Dynamic Duo. I'm Franz.
I'm Kevin. Welcome back to a holiday edition of the Dynamic Duo.
Kevin, I know you've been chomping at the bits. There's a lot of news. There's teasers for Avengers Doomsday. There's all kinds of stuff going on. And you've been chomping at the bits to express yourself. So what do you want to talk about?
Well, I have to talk about Doomsday.
Let's do
I
it.
have to.
Okay.
And let me start out by saying this first. I am not a hater for the film. I know no one has seen it yet, of course. We're a year away, but I have to admit to you, partner, I am both worried and I'm a little, I'll be blunt, I'm getting a little pissed off with the Russos and Marvel for what it appears they have done.
Talk to me.
At least by the look of this thing, we as um supporters of their material, both in print and especially on movie screens, truth is, we've been down this road before. And it really does seem like to me that this is no more than a money grab, obviously, and in a weird way, a trope package for the audience. The more that I see of RDJ being Doom, the more I hate it. They keep saying he is not a variant of Tony Stark. I hate that idea. And my biggest issue with this is okay, you're going to do a George Lucas sometime next year, and you're going to change the end of Endgame with Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter just to set up the audience for what's coming. And to me, that means that in effect, you're ruining what you've already given everybody from Infinity War and from Endgame to begin with.
Tell me what you mean by that. Tell me
What
what you
I
mean.
mean is the ending of the movie, okay? The way it was originally laid out, you saw Steve and Peggy at the end of Endgame. They got their dance. It was a happy ending, and the audience loved it. From what I understand now, when Steve goes home and we see this special ending that they recut and put back together again, Doom somehow has followed him through time and back to the time that he's dealing with Peggy and their dance. And during this session, if you will. Um, and I hate to be a spoiler, but the early word on the vine is he kills Steve Rogers right at the beginning of what Doomsday is going to be. If it's true, early reports are that Doomsday as an opening is going to open with the continuation of Doom killing Steve because they've apparently shot this big special ending that shows Doom confronting him and saying, I'm here to kill you. You've done all these different things by going back in time. And the audience watches him kill um Steve Rogers.
And that would be at the beginning of the movie?
Yes.
Well, we have to be careful, I think. I think we have to be careful answering and reacting to rumors and speculation. Now, you are very good at your sources and you're often very accurate. And so my response is going to be if that is the case, and we don't know that it is, sometimes rumors are just that, it would be the dumbest, stupidest, most ridiculous mistake that you could possibly make. Um, and so that would be unfathomable for them to say Steve Rogers will be back only to have him be killed in the first few minutes of the movie. That would set a negative down tone to the whole movie, and it would be not good. Here's my problem. Here's my issue. Listen, we do this show. We critique these movies. Sometimes we're right. Sometimes we're wrong. Like for example, with the Fantastic Four, we talked about it. We were very down on it initially. I certainly was down on Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, not because of it, not because of his acting chops, but because I was fearful that he was going to keep too much of the Pedro with the mustache and not give us Reed Richards. It turns out that I didn't even notice the mustache in the movie, and it turns out that I enjoyed the movie very, very much. It's not the best Fantastic Four movie, I don't think. I think there are a couple of things missing, but I love that movie, and I think it deserves a lot of props. So we were very, very worried about it, and it turns out to be pretty good. But we were also very worried about Superman, and it turned out to be worse than what we thought, in our opinion. And so here's what I'd like to explain to the audience, to our audience. I want to explain at least my position, where I'm coming from. And if you agree, I think it's where you come from, but I certainly don't want to speak for you. Just so you understand, I'm a purist. What that means is that I happen to think that the original material, the original characters, the original storylines, and I'm talking 60s, 70s, early 80s, that's where the marrow, the juice, the realness of the characters are. This is what brought us to film. And my position is that, contrary to popular belief, contrary to what people may think, that material was not infantile. It was not stupid. It was actually good enough as it was to be in the movies today. And I have a particular aversion to when directors, filmmakers, actors go away from that source material. I certainly hate it when they diss that source material, when they put it down and when they make fun of it, which they tend to do. I happen to think that whether you're reading Thor and Kirby's Thor or Stan Lee's Fantastic Four, that stuff is as good, if not better, than anything they've come up with. I'm talking costume design, I'm talking storyline, I'm talking acting in every aspect. And so the more you deviate from that, the less happy I am. Now, having said that, I've had to come to the realization that they're not going to do that material. They're not going to do it justice. They're going to reinvent it. And the greater the reinvention, the more upset I am. But I've come to realize that, hey, you know what? Avengers is not exactly Avengers in the comic books. Fantastic Four is not exactly, and so on and so forth. So that's the balance. And so when we critique these movies, Kevin, that's where we're coming from. How truthful, how accurate is it to the source material, and how good is it? I agree with your concerns about Avengers. Now we don't know. We know. I think the Russos have earned our respect. They delivered some really good Marvel movies. But there are a lot of concerns. We may turn out to be wrong. Maybe those concerns are not valid. Maybe those concerns are not there. But there's a lot of concerns in that movie. You mentioned that it's a cash grab in the sense that they're just putting in a bunch of actors, they're just bringing characters back. If that's the focus rather than character development and storytelling, then it is a cash grab and it's a mistake and it's going to not deliver. It's going to deliver in the sense that it may have a big box office initially, but if the material is not good, then people are going to be disappointed and then the box office will drop and the movie won't be successful. It's another cash grab aspect is RDJ as Doctor Doom. That's a terrible mistake, in my opinion, because the moment you bring Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, you're going to confuse the audience. Is it Tony Stark? And it's going to demand to create a whole new storyline that's not accurate to the comic book, not accurate to the source material, not satisfying for the fans who have driven this material to be here to us. Um, and it's just going to be a mistake if you do that. The only way that it could work is if you don't show RDJ and you just keep Doctor Doom, which is essential to Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom must not, never reveal his face. And if I see RDJ's face, that alone would ruin it. Plus the fact that it's RDJ and it's going to create all that confusion. So there's a lot of basis for us to be worried about. Have you seen the latest teaser that showed the X-Men and showed Cyclops in his costume? What's your thought on that?
I think it's neat, in all honesty, that they have depicted the characters in their comic accurate outfits. Okay? I, as a fan, am very curious if the audience is going to see what led up to the apparent destruction of the Xavier Institute. Okay? I love the fact that it's James Marsden. I love the fact that they have put him in the outfit. I really do. But I am still worried. I can't help it. The filmmaker in me, without overstating this, is worried that part of what is being done is they're looking back at past successes and saying to themselves, oh, we did this before, we're going to do it again.
I get you. I
And I think they have gone a little too far and maybe over the edge with this concept.
I get you. I share your concern. What it comes down to is they have to deliver. They have to deliver beyond the gimmick. They have to deliver a really good, solid movie. There's a couple of more things that worry me. It's like what you cannot do is you're not gonna bring back the X-Men and make James Marsden and Halle Berry and and those folks the X-Men of the MCU today because they're too old and certainly they're too passe. You're talking 20 years ago. If you're 20 years old, you were born when around the time when the X-Men was coming out. So that's a passe thing. So it would be a ridiculous mistake to bring even Hugh Jackman back as the new Wolverine of this new MCU, like starting off the new MCU Wolverine. It would be a mistake to make him Hugh Jackman because Hugh Jackman is already pushing 60. You should be looking 10 years 20 years into the future with this character. That's not the way to go.
Mhm.
So you can't do that. So that means that the X-Men that's being depicted, the Foxmen that's being depicted, the only reason that you're doing that is to kind of kill them off, to give them a final, goodbye. And that's a tricky thing. That's a very tricky thing. You could it work? Could it be done in a way that makes you go, wow, that makes you go, holy crap, best movie ever? The answer is yes, you can. If you make the deaths worthwhile, if you listen, if you bring the Crisis on Infinite Earths to the big screen, it could work. It's a gamble, but it could work. And so it's a matter of wait and see how they handle it. It's a matter of wait and see how they handle it, how they manage all these potentially devastating and negative plot points. That's what it comes down to.
As a partner, you couldn't be more right. You couldn't be more right.